Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, just released their 13F filing, which discloses all of their positions. And what we can do from this is look at their positions now, look at their positions last quarter, and see what companies they've bought and sold. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is actually go through some companies that they bought, go through some companies that they sold, and then we'll conclude by taking a look at their top 10 holdings. Let's go. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I make lots of videos like this. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to join the community. Drop a huge like as well if you like this kind of content, if you want to see more updates every single quarter on Warren Buffett's portfolio. I'll be more than happy to do that for you guys. Alright, so getting right into it, the first thing we're going to do is look at some stocks that he sold. It could either be that he reduced stake in some of these companies or he completely exited his stake in some of these companies. So let's go through the list right here. So we can see we start off with Phillips 66, ticker symbol PSX. Then we go down to Wells Fargo, ticker symbol WFC. Then we have Charter Communications, CHTR, American Airlines, AAL, United Airlines, UAL, Southwest Airlines, LUV. And then you can see at the bottom here, he exited his position in Walmart, ticker symbol WMT, and he exited his position in Sanofi Holdings, ticker symbol SNY. So as you can see from this list, he reduced his stake in quite a few of his airline holdings, which was companies that he was buying the last few years. And you also notice that he's reducing his stake in Wells Fargo, which I found pretty interesting, because Wells Fargo used to be actually his top position at one point, I believe. But what this kind of tells us, especially with the airlines, is that he believes that the earnings that airlines have been receiving over the last few years have peaked to a certain degree. And because of this, he kind of sees better value elsewhere, which is why he's reducing stake in this and kind of funneling money into other positions, which we'll get into in a second. And if you think about this, it kind of does make sense because we are in the late stages of a strong economy here. And because of that, the potential for massive upside and massive spending from a consumer standpoint for these airlines is reducing, because as you kind of enter a stage of, slower economic growth or recession, people tend to spend less, and that includes vacations, that includes flying on airplanes. And as a result, these revenues and profits and any income that these airlines receive, especially during a strong economy, will get hit. So this is kind of my reasoning as to why he does this. Of course, we're not really going to know unless you have an interview with him. But this is kind of the general thinking that I believe that Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway is kind of going with right now. Now on the flip side, he is buying a lot of companies as well. So let's go through some of the companies here that they've released that he's actually bought shares or increased stakes in or added new stakes into. So looking through this list, we can see here, number one, we have Bank of America, ticker symbol BAC. He had a 29% increase. Then we have US Bancorp, USB, with a 24% increase. Bank of New York Mellon, BK, 20% increase. Goldman Sachs, 38% increase. JP Morgan Chase, JPM, added 4 billion stake here with JPM. And then you can see there's some new companies that he added, including Oracle, Travelers Company, PNC Financial Services. And then he did add some stake into Delta Airlines and General Motors. And he did add a new position, small position, in a Brazilian fintech firm called Stoneco, ticker symbol STNE. And then of course to conclude this, we did have Apple here. We did have an increase in Apple, a 1.93% increase from the last quarter, which results now in 25.77% of his overall portfolio. So as you can see, majority of his spending here did go into banks or financial type companies because he believes over the next few years that these companies are poised for very strong earnings. This could be because interest rates are rising now, and generally when interest rates rise, banks make a lot of money from that because they earn more money than they did before because rates are now higher. There could also be another reason that because during the last recession, a lot of these banks got hit pretty hard. There were some banks that don't exist anymore because of this. And as a result, a lot of them do have measures in place now to kind of combat a recession and not get into the same state that they were back in say 2008, 2009. So because of this, there may be some confidence in these banks that they've put in the proper measures to account for this. And as a result, they may perform pretty decent over the next recession, which is what it looks like Buffett is banking on. Now, this may not be true. This is kind of my line of thinking here. And I don't really necessarily agree that these banks are going to be safe during the next recession. I think they will be, again, one of the hardest hit sectors in the next recession. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see how it plays out. Another thing I want to make note of is that over the last few months, the financial sector has been getting hit pretty hard and has been struggling. And as we know, Warren Buffett loves to come in when there's a lot of unfavorability in a certain sector or a certain stock and scoop up shares then. So as a result, the last few months have presented a good opportunity. If you look at the XLF financial ETF, you can see that they did hit their 52-week low in October. So there was some value in there in these bank stocks, even though rates are increasing and theoretically these banks should be earning more. Their prices did go down, which is why Buffett, you can see, significantly added to a lot of these bank positions. Now, you need to make note that this does not necessarily mean that these banks have bottomed out. It could be just the beginning here. Banks could be going a lot lower if you do enter a recession, but it is interesting to see how he's kind of jumped in here when there's a lot of fear in the sector, a lot of fear in the market, and is starting to buy a significant amount of shares, even though a lot of people are kind of fearful of the market right now. So one interesting thing is that as of right now, he's sitting on around $109 billion in cash. And I don't think that this number is really going to drop much lower than $100 billion until we see a significant downturn in the economy and in stocks. And when I say significant, I mean something like 30, 40, 50% or more correction in some of these large stocks that he's holding currently. So at this point, what I can say pretty safely is that when we do enter a full-blown recession, Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway will be putting that cash to use, and they will be scooping up tons of shares of these very strong companies to take advantage of during the next bull run after the recession is over. So now, kind of to close off, let's take a look at his top 10 holdings to see where his portfolio currently stands. So as you can see here, Apple is still number one. But after that, there's really 7 financial related companies, and most of them are bank companies. Then to kind of close it off, you kind of have a couple of food beverage plays in Coca-Cola and Kraft Heinz. So in my opinion, this is not a very well diversified portfolio. You have majority of your stake in financial related companies, a lot of them being pure banks. And if that sector does continue to get hit, his portfolio overall will continue to get hit pretty significantly. But like we said, Apple is around 25-26% of his overall portfolio, so that should offset some of the hit if financial sectors get hit. But I mean, if you look at Warren Buffett's philosophy in general, it's that you should invest in companies that you fully understand. And as you can see, banks is something that he's pretty competent in, pretty confident in as well. So this is why he continues to pour money into these banking stocks. And as of recent, he is also pouring money into Apple because he believes he understands their business as well. So I'm kind of curious to see how many of these top 10 companies you guys have a stake in. So up until recently, I did have 2 of these in my portfolio, my personal long-term portfolio. But I did exit one of those positions recently, and I do still hold one of the other positions. So I think it's pretty obvious which position I'm still holding. But if you guys are curious, I do disclose that in either my Patreon page or VIP membership group. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this, make sure to drop a huge like, make sure to subscribe as well, and don't forget to invest positively. Peace.